Tonight, frantic parents watch 4 of their young children perish in a horror Werribee house fire. Plus emotional reunions as Melbourne finally welcomes international travellers back. 2 star Tigers test positive to COVID on the eve of the AFL pre-season. Daniel Andrews launches a stinging attack on the Prime Minister. Rain hampers the search for William Terrains. Novak Djokovic breaks his silence on Australian Open vaccine standoff. And grand sale ahead of the premiere for Franco Cozzo, the movie.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Mike Amor starts now.
Good evening. A Werribee couple is facing an unimaginable tragedy after 4 of their 5 young children were killed in an overnight inferno. The parents and neighbours watched helplessly as flames raged, with the siblings trapped inside.
A fire so intense and ferocious, this family home was engulfed in just minutes. Flames tearing through the roof, bursting at the windows and front door. 4 young children were trapped inside. Their parents and 8-year-old brother somehow made it out alive.
It was like the whole house was gone that time. I was so intense. I'm not sure anybody could have done something.
Because of the intensity of the fire, it was very difficult for our crews to be able to initially make access. And with the roof already being compromised and the tiles collapsing, it was unsafe for our members to be able to proceed.
It was 1 a.m. Neighbour Cyril Dominguez frantically ran door to door, alerting everyone.
Oh my God. There are all kids inside.
The children's parents can be heard screaming, helpless.
The dad keeps on shouting, my kids are gone.
With the distress of the parents and the 8-year-old, it was very difficult to get accurate information early on to be able to focus our search areas.
Frustrations too over apparent delays in answering emergency calls.
It's so hard to get into 000, 10-15 minutes, something like that.
Call-taking agency Esther says the phone was answered in 79 seconds. In daylight, detectives confirmed the worst.
We have a 10-year-old and 3-year-old boy and a 6 and 1-year-old girl found deceased.
2 parents and a sibling have to live with that. That's very sad.
A short time ago, devastated family friends arrived at the home. Their grief overflowing for cherished members of Melbourne's Sudanese community.
A really good kid, you know.
Police now have the grim task of sifting through what's left of the destroyed house to determine the cause of the deadly fire, as well as why the home went up in flames so quickly.
My gosh, how you live with this, I don't know. It's shocking.
A family of 7 that must somehow adjust to life as a family of 3.
And Tegan Dolling, the tragedy has hit the community hard.
It has, Mike, and it's not just the Sudanese community, because ever since the police tape came down just a short time ago, there's been a steady stream of neighbours and strangers, and they've all been coming past to pay their respects, some leaving cards and others leaving flowers for the family. Now, the mother and father, as well as their surviving 8-year-old son, are all in a stable condition in the Alfred Hospital. And neighbours have said that's because of quick-thinking locals who were able to place them in a bathtub with running water while they were waiting for paramedics overnight. And Mike, there's still no cause yet, there's still no answer yet on the cause of this blaze.
Yeah, just heartbreaking. Tegan, thank you. Melbourne is opening back up to the world with holidaymakers from Singapore allowed in for the first time since March last year. Blake Johnson, it's a welcome boost for Victoria's tourism industry.
As well as the education and employment sectors, Mike. That's because international students can now come to Melbourne as well. Around 49,000 are enrolled in Victoria. Today's Singapore Airlines flight into Melbourne is followed by a Qantas flight out of here to Singapore tomorrow, with plenty of reunions and introductions. A Melbourne welcome party, getting the band together and families together.
Just really happy, yeah, to see my sister back.
The first time non-Australian citizens have been allowed here since March last year. It had been 2 years apart for this couple.
Oh, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Arriving on a Singapore Airlines flight more than half full, Singapore is the second neighbour allowed in after the stop-start arrangement with New Zealand. But Kiwis who come here can't go home at the moment. So Singapore is the only free-flowing destination for international tourists.
Very appropriate because Singapore Airlines in particular have been really generous to Melbourne, continuing operations right through the crisis.
The only arrivals requirement, be fully vaccinated and get a COVID test within 24 hours of stepping off the plane.
We are hopeful, really hopeful, that we're going to see USA, UK and hopefully Japan opening very soon.
In the year pre-pandemic, 406,000 Singaporeans came to Australia. More than a quarter visited Victoria. They spent $319 million. The reopening of Australia's international gates is much needed.
Our farms clearly need their workers. Educational institutions need tertiary students.
Over the past 2 weeks, Victoria's cases dipped below 1,000. They're back above that number, more than 1,200 cases today. But the number of COVID hospital patients has fallen steadily over the same period. 556 a couple of weekends ago to 317 tonight. Another 4 people with COVID have died. The Premier predicted Victoria would hit the 90% fully vaccinated goal this weekend. We're due to hit that milestone on Wednesday, according to COVID Live data trackers. Blake Johnson, 7 News.
Richmond has been rocked by a COVID scare on the eve of pre-season training. Chief Football reporter Tom Brown has the latest from Punt Road Oval. And Tom, 2 Star Tigers have tested positive.
Mike, Dion Prestia and Noah Bolter have both tested positive. Fine, according to the club when I spoke to them today. They're isolating now, obviously, for 7 to 14 days as per their requirements. The first to fourth year players are due back at the club here at Punt Road tomorrow. I'm told tonight, no impact on their program so far. Tomorrow, a new AFL initiative starts as well. All the players arriving here at Punt Road and the clubs here in Victoria will have rapid tests in their car, collect them from reception before they're allowed to go back into the club. In terms of the impact on next season, we've now seen 3 cases in the men's programs at Hawthorn now and Richmond in the last 2 weeks or so. The AFL hope this new ruling by the Victorian government where vaccinated people who are close contact just have to test negative will hopefully ensure not a lot of round-to-round impact next season, but it's too early to tell at this stage. 2 new cases here at Richmond tonight, Mike.
Tom Brown, thank you. A deeper rift is emerging between state and federal leaders, with the Premier accusing the Prime Minister of offending Victorians. Daniel Andrews claims Scott Morrison ignored our vaccine milestone and instead pandered to extremists.
At Bonbeach to open a new railway station.
Very good. Thank you very much for your hard work.
The Premier took the opportunity to rail against the Prime Minister.
I am offended on behalf of all Victorians.
His furious Scott Morrison this week said he sympathised with more than 10,000 protesters who rallied on the steps of State Parliament against Victoria's vaccine mandate and pandemic laws.
Instead of just standing up on Thursday and condemning violence and congratulating Victorians for what they'd done, he couldn't do that. He was incapable of doing that. And that speaks to him, his character and his leadership.
There have also been threats made against MPs and their families, prompting increased security.
And when the Prime Minister stops double-speaking to extremists, his relationship with me will be a lot better.
But it's not a uniquely Victorian problem. Labor MPs in Queensland are facing similar dangers. Detractors threatening civil war over the Palaszczuk government's own vaccine economy.
I think they should be able to go about their work safely. It's very important that MPs are able to access the community. It's very important they're able to walk down the street and talk to people and hear what is happening in their community.
Here in Victoria, the deadline is looming for the Andrews government to pass its controversial pandemic bill. It has just 1 sitting week left to gather votes in the upper house before Parliament breaks and the current state of emergency expires on December 15.
We'll get a bill, we just have to wait and see what the outcome is.
Jodie Lee, 7 News.
Tim Payne's wife, Bonnie, says their relationship has become stronger since the sexting scandal that forced her husband to quit as Australian Test captain. Payne says he confessed to his wife straight away about the lewd text messages he sent to a woman working for Cricket Tasmania in 2017. As soon as a complaint was lodged, I told her everything, Payne claimed in a News Limited interview. Bonnie says she's forgiven Tim but feels like there's a lot of injustice for it being dragged out again. Pat Cummins is tipped to replace Payne as captain for the upcoming Ashes series. Police need the public's help to find a woman missing in Melbourne's west. 75-year-old Judy has Alzheimer's and hasn't been seen since this time yesterday. She was last spotted in Heaths Road Hoppers Crossing and often walks along the Werribee River Trail. Insults are flying thick and fast in the lead-up to next year's federal election. The government is accused of using delaying tactics, while Labor is under fire for refusing to rule out a tax increase.
Flying in from every corner of the country, federal politicians are bracing for a fiery final fortnight of Parliament.
It's going to be a big couple of weeks.
There's some important issues for us to be talking about.
Labor accusing Scott Morrison of leaving it to the last minute to introduce a bill to tackle religious discrimination.
He's done nothing, and now, as the election approaches, all of a sudden he finds a religious freedom bill in the top drawer.
But delivering on the election promise could be tricky. Backbenchers Jared Rennick and Alex Antich are threatening to withhold their votes in the Senate, demanding the federal government override state vaccine mandates.
My understanding is that the Commonwealth doesn't have the ability to do that.
Although the sentiment is shared by many in the coalition.
I don't think it's Australian to force people to choose between their job and a jab.
Trying to get its agenda back on track, the coalition seized on comments from the Shadow Treasurer, which left the door open to hiking up taxes on ordinary Australians if Labor wins the next election.
Well, our priority is multinational taxes, so we haven't finalised our full suite of policies.
Saying that proves
high taxes continue to be in Labor's DNA.
Rob Scott, 7 News.
Police were called to Chapel Street after a wild fight broke out between two men around 1 a.m. A 43-year-old suffered facial injuries after he was allegedly hit over the head with a glass. A 59-year-old Alfreton man was charged and will face court in April. It's believed the two men are known to each other. Heavy rain is hampering the search for William Tyrrell's remains, making the painstaking operation even more challenging. And in a new twist, William's foster parents have now hired a top barrister.
What started last Monday at a cracking pace in the dig for William Tyrrell has bogged down, quite literally. Sheets of rain dismantled the search site overnight. It's been repaired with only a skeleton crew today and replacements arriving in Kendall to swap out exhausted colleagues. Only 2 days ago, a creek adjacent to Cobb & Co Road was drained. The rain has filled it up again. This afternoon, an excavator's attention turned towards an adjacent private property. The fence did not exist when William did. It is ghoulish, but also human nature that William Tyrrell's disappearance continues to be this region's unwanted tourist attraction.
People come in from out of town and ask about it all the time. And that's all we say. There's nothing you can say.
Everybody's got to get some closure on it, and until it gets to that level, I suppose, and if it ever does.
It has been an extraordinary 7 days. The announcement of a fresh dig, items of interest compared to Spider-Man pictures, luminol testing, high-tech ground imaging, a car seized for forensic testing, the emergence of William's foster mother as a focus of inquiries, and unrelated common assault charges against her and William's foster father. They have engaged high-profile barrister John Corn. He made no comment when we contacted him today.
And so ends the first week of a historic search that for Strikeforce Roseanne investigators could well be make or break. And even though the rain is hampering progress after 7 long years, given what's at stake, these are just drops in the ocean. In Kendall, Robert Ovadia, 7 News.
Tennis superstar Novak Djokovic is refusing to commit playing Australian Open after confirmation all players need to be fully vaccinated to take part.
We'll see. We'll have to wait and see.
Do you think it's a fair decision by Tennis Australia?
I haven't been talking to them, to be honest. I was just waiting to hear what the news is going to be. Now that I know, we'll just have to wait and see.
Djokovic's vaccine status is unknown. Collingwood's top presidential candidate has outlined his plans. Jackie Felgate, Jeff Brown has bold ambitions for the Pies.
Hello, Mike. Yes, he does. He says he wants to do things a little differently. Laura Spurway is live with the details. Hello, Laura. Jeff Brown spent the day making a pitch to members.
Well, Jack, it's all part of the voting process for the club's next president and 4 vacant board seats. Online voting opened on Friday, with results to be announced at the AGM on December 16. Today's Town Hall-like forum was a Q&A with some members and introduced 2 running mates of Brown's, Barry Karp and Renee Roberts, who he says will help form the best board in the AFL and lead the Pies to success.
It'll take at least a couple of years for us to get advanced on the track to premiership success. But premierships are our goal. We need some salary cap room and some relief, and that won't happen for another year or 2. But we'll be in the market.
If elected, they plan for board members to sit with supporters at home games to connect fans to the club. And tomorrow we'll hear from the new Pies coach Craig McRae, with the first to 4-year players returning to the track.
OK, thank you, Laura. Also ahead in sport, an inside AFL exclusive. Bulldogs great Luke Darcy and his young pup Sam, who's about to call Witten Oval home. How the pair will handle the pressure with a bright future ahead. And Mike Manu is on the verge of sacking their coach. I'll have plenty of that in sport.
OK, thanks, Jack. See you soon. Traffic is about to run much smoother in the southeast, thanks to Melbourne's first new freeway in almost a decade, but it comes with a hefty price tag. Plus, fresh clues in the hunt for a missing Chinese tennis star. A shock shooting sends a US airport into lockdown. England's Barmy Army in a border battle ahead of the Ashes. And later, the fitness craze helping seniors keep up with the grandkids. And we road test the must-have toys for Christmas. The bomb squad stopped traffic in Williams Landing this morning after a call-out to investigate a suspicious package at the intersection of Forsyth Road and Ashcroft Avenue. Specialist police spent 3 hours conducting safety checks before declaring the scene safe. Drivers are being warned to expect delays with major road and rail disruptions planned over summer. But it's set to get much easier in Melbourne's southeast, thanks to the city's first new freeway in almost a decade.
A convoy of eager drivers, the first to travel on the new Mordialloc freeway.
I'm so excited. I've waited a long time for this. I'll probably go on it about 10 times today.
The new stretch said to save commuters time connecting the Mornington Peninsula freeway to the Dingley bypass.
It's 8 kilometres of new freeway and then a kilometre of improving the end bit of the Mornington Peninsula freeway.
We'll see 13,000 trucks come off local roads. It will service over 70,000 vehicles in the coming years and give local roads back to local residents.
At a cost of $523 million.
The project now complete is $148 million over budget. It's 40% over budget.
While this new freeway will save motorists time, elsewhere they'll need to be patient with major rail and road disruptions planned in the lead up to Christmas. An inbound lane on the Monash freeway will be closed for the rest of this month. Works will continue on the M80 at Thomastown. There will be inbound and outbound lane changes on the Westgate freeway, and buses will replace trains on multiple lines for rail upgrades. While the Andrews government has reached another milestone, removing some of the state's most dangerous level crossings, including here at Bomb Beach.
We've in fact removed not 50 but 54 level crossings, fully 12 months ahead of schedule.
Sarah Jones, 7 News.
Chinese state media is trying to reassure the world that tennis star Peng Shuai is alive and well. They released this video of the doubles champion, seemingly at dinner with her coach and friends. Peng Shuai hasn't been seen or heard from in more than 2 weeks. Last month, she went public with allegations a powerful Chinese politician sexually assaulted her. The state reporter who shared the video says Peng Shuai will be back in public soon. Emotions are running high in the US after Kyle Rittenhouse, the teenager cleared of murder, agreed to a tell-all TV interview. His case has heightened concerns about vigilantes and guns in America, a fear that emerged today in one of the country's biggest airports.
One face of America's gun problem.
fear.
Get down! I don't know what's happening. Everybody's running.
Atlanta's giant airport in chaos.
Oh my God. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Flights halted early afternoon as a gunshot echoes through the Delta terminal.
People just came flying through and just were like, run, run, run.
There was some screaming, and then somebody stopped and said, there's a shooter, you need to go.
No shooter, a passenger's gun accidentally discharged as security moved to seize it. Atlanta Airport alone has confiscated 450 firearms this year. This as Americans are primed for the Kyle interview.
The jury reached the correct verdict. Self-defense is not illegal.
The 17-year-old who took a military-style assault weapon into the heat of last year's Kenosha riots and shot dead 2 protesters.
Not guilty.
Yesterday, cleared on all 5 charges.
Not guilty.
Kyle Rittenhouse appears to have gone from this to this. More material for a documentary he's been recording with Fox News.
I'm glad that everything went well, and it's been a rough journey, but we made it through it.
The Rittenhouse verdict driving protests across America, police under siege in Portland. In the United States, Tim Lester, 7 News.
There's an ominous warning from England's notorious Barmy Army. Open the borders and they'll be here in their thousands. Many have stayed home for this summer's Ashes, but as rules continue to ease, Melbourne and Sydney could soon see an English invasion.
In this London pub, the Barmy Army are facing up to a long winter, potentially of discontent.
Well, I left my work at the end of August to do this Ashes tour. It's one on my bucket list. I was going to drag my wife around 5 tests.
With Australia's borders shut to foreign citizens, Mark and his wife are staying at home.
It's the Barmy boys making all the noise everywhere we go.
Missing from our cricket grounds, the 10,000-strong army of Barmy English fans.
It's the first tour we won't have been over to Australia since 1994.
Instead, they're hoping English expats living in Australia can find their voice.
All the expats, they're not going to forget sandpaper. There'll be so much sandpaper. There's so much atmosphere.
And believing, perhaps praying, Joe Root's men have become used to playing without crowds during COVID. They're plotting to get to Australia by the Boxing Day test, pleading for the borders to open.
You'd have thousands of tourists booking on planes with a week's notice to come and support the England boys.
The Ashes series returns here to England in 2023. The Barmy Army vowing to be in full song then, with this warning.
The noise, mate. They better hear it in Australia.
In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
Melina Saris joins us now, and Mel, this afternoon's sunshine is giving us a taste of what's to come.
You'll be very glad to hear, Mark, there will be plenty of sunshine at the start of the week, and we are warming up as well. Today played out almost the same as yesterday did. Grey clouds this morning, broke up to reveal some sunshine this afternoon. Today the south was cooler with patchy cloud and southerly winds, but it is becoming mild and mostly sunny tomorrow as the clouds break up and clear out. I'll have all of those details right after sport, Mike.
OK, see you then. Thanks, Mel. Melbourne's New Year's Eve plans have just been revealed. Up next, a front row look at the spectacular drone show set to light up our skies. Plus how federal police smashed a $90 million meth ring. New COVID lockdowns sparked protest fury on the streets of Europe. And the fitness craze helping Nan and Pop keep up with the grandkids. 3 men have been charged for allegedly attempting to import 140 kilograms of methamphetamine into Australia. In Cape, the men are accused of facilitating the importation of almost $90 million worth of drugs from Canada to Melbourne. They've been remanded in custody and will return to court in March. A spectacular light show is heading our way to help Melbourne ring in the new year, but the party comes with a catch. There are only 40,000 tickets up for grabs.
It looks like a military operation, but the only mission for these drones is to entertain. 350 will dazzle over Docklands, depicting Melbourne icons like the MCG.
This is going to be the biggest swarm drone show that Australia has ever seen.
The light shows are already a fixture of celebrations overseas. It's the latest addition to our COVID-safe New Year's party, but only the fully vaccinated are welcome.
That is the way that we've been able to open up here in Melbourne, and we want to stay open.
4 precincts will be fenced off: Flagstaff, Alexandra, Treasury Gardens and Docklands. And for the first time, only those with tickets will be allowed in.
At the moment, it's 40,000 lucky people to come into the celebration zones. We want to be able to welcome the maximum number of people as safely as possible.
The celebrations extend right across the city, with 8 laneways transformed into street parties, with outdoor dining, entertainment and live music.
It just brings the crowds through, walking through the city, where once it was all concentrated in one spot.
The ticket ballot opens tomorrow. Rachel Ward, 7 News.
Amazon is set to kick off its Black Friday sales 8 days early. The tech giant will begin the online bargains from midnight tonight. It's expected this year's Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales will be the largest on record, with high demand following COVID lockdowns. Shoppers are urged to get in early to avoid postage shortages and delays after parcel volume records were smashed earlier this year. Tensions are running high across Europe, with fresh COVID lockdowns met with bitter resistance. 2 protesters are in hospital in the Netherlands after being shot by police during riots.
Fury on the streets of Vienna as Austria makes COVID vaccination mandatory. Tens of thousands turning out, further enraged by a 20-day national lockdown from tomorrow. A COVID outrage even more explosive in the Dutch city of Rotterdam. Rioters let off flares and torched cars, hurling objects at police, who responded with water cannon and firing warning shots, injuring several people. The backlash against the new pandemic crackdown is spreading COVID-like across Europe. Most new rules target the unvaccinated. I fought for the liberty of this country's citizens, says this Croatian war veteran. That freedom now gone. The World Health Organization says the winter season, insufficient vaccine coverage and the dominance of Delta are behind the COVID resurgence, warning that if nothing changes, the virus could claim 500,000 lives by March. 7 News.
A gang of thieves has ransacked a high-end fashion store in Chicago while shoppers were still browsing. 14 masked intruders waited for an armed guard to go on a break before bursting into the Louis Vuitton boutique. They stuffed garbage bags full of items before fleeing the store. Police say they're closing in on the gang. And flames have erupted from an apartment in the middle of Paris. Crowds of people stopped to watch as the fire raged near the city's opera. The blaze spread to other units, but crews managed to stop it destroying the building. The cause isn't yet known. A new gym is on a mission to help Nan and Pa become fit enough to keep up with the grandkids. It's designed for the over 50s, giving them a new lease on life.
At 65, life has never been busier for Judy Howard. When you have 9 grandchildren, grandma becomes a job title.
Trying to keep up with them and not be tired, and yeah, I love hanging out with the kids.
She gets us into going for walks with her, and she's the one encouraging us to go to hikes with her.
Now she's in training, so hanging out doesn't wear her out.
I just want to be with them, not sitting in a chair watching them.
4 times a week she heads to Club Active, a gym designed for over 50s.
So we have services like exercise physiology, physiotherapy and dietitians. All of that is important for the over 50s to make sure that they're getting the right advice when they exercise.
Individualising your program so that you know exactly what you need to do to achieve those outcomes.
Jonathan Freeman is the man behind the concept. His inspiration?
It was my parents, actually. I think it was very important for me personally to make sure that my parents had an opportunity to change the way they age.
There are 6 clubs operating in southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales. By 2025, there will be 100 Australia-wide, with plans to take the concept overseas.
We welcome anybody that wants to change the way they age.
I do love being a grandma, so yeah, staying fit for that is really important.
What better motivation? Georgia Terry, 7 News.
The incredible story of Melbourne's most famous furniture salesman is about to be immortalised in film. Up next, Peter Mitchell goes one-on-one with the legendary Franco Cozzo. Plus, Lygon Street becomes a crime scene after a stabbing attack. And we road test the most popular toys for Christmas. Two men have been stabbed in a brawl on Lygon Street. It's believed a large group was kicked out of a bar around 4:30 this morning when a brawl broke out. Two men in their 20s were injured in the fight and taken to hospital. Melbourne's most famous furniture salesman is about to become a movie star. Franco Cozzo starred on the small screen for decades. Now he's hit the big time with a film about his life. Peter Mitchell caught up with the man who became an icon.
He's the migrant entrepreneur who became a roaring success, famous for his beloved Baroque furniture.
Grand style, grand style, grand style.
An advertising pioneer, Franco Cozzo capitalised on a new era of television in countless commercials.
A North Melbourne and Footscray. Comprate da Franco Cozzo.
Lovely to meet you.
I know. All of my life I've been seeing my friend Peter.
Franco's now 85, still selling furniture and as cheeky and charming as ever.
Each share $6,000.
Oh, very nice.
With discount of 5,000 something.
Despite lockdown, Franco's been busy. His very own grand tale is about to be told in cinemas across Victoria. The story of his life on the big screen.
Mamma mia, I'm a movie star now.
Franco's part of a local identity.
I want to be someone. Go to Australia.
Local filmmakers spent 4 years finessing Franco's fabulous rags to riches story.
My favourite parts of the film are learning about the customers who own his furniture and seeing how much it means to them.
It traces his journey from penniless Sicilian to beloved personality.
I don't really think you look very comfortable here. Let me just fix something up for you. All right, stand up. Bring that up.
There was a time in which we sell a lot. I have at least $5 million of furniture. A little bit to sell. What I got to do? Burn the furniture?
The documentary pulls no punches, addressing the highs and the lows.
I got 9 daughters and 1 boy. Things happen, I cannot help.
People were uncomfortable with any sort of celebration or iconicization of Franco Cozzo.
Oh, it's almost sold out. Whenever there's something with a bit of a local angle, people will really jump out.
The Australian community, they're going crazy. 6, 7 shows, they all sold.
After half a century here, Franco Cozzo House will soon be gone. His grandest sale to developers now complete.
At Footscray, arrivederci Roma. And we have a Brunswick only.
The Rococo King will reopen his Brunswick showroom, and that means all this has to go.
Peter, I gotta go away from here. And sooner or later, I got to, make a special commercial. Grand style, grand style, grand style.
We can't wait. Meanwhile, the story of the legend premieres in cinemas from tonight.
Migalo, Migalo, Migalo.
Peter Mitchell, 7 News.
Grand sale, grand sale. How good is that? Christmas wish lists are growing fast with just 34 sleeps until the big day. One Melbourne family is doing the hard yards for us, road testing some of this year's must-have toys.
Christmas has come early at the Rauji household.
It's pretty chaotic, yeah. Gets pretty crazy with all the kids.
These tiny toy testers getting a preview of some of the newest products on the market. They're ticking a lot of boxes for the children.
Yeah, they're really fun.
And parents alike.
Interactive sort of toys that are going to keep them away from their screens and things they can play with together.
Many Melburnians began their Christmas shopping as soon as retail reopened.
Trying to get organised so I don't have to come in store and, all the people and everything around and just all the busyness, so just started early.
Checking out all the lovely toys for my 4 grandkids.
Delivery delays are driving people away from online shopping and into stores this Christmas.
Touchy feeling, looking, yeah, I'm not very good on the internet. Well, I am, but then you've got to wait for it to be delivered, so I preferred coming here.
Since we've reopened, our stores have been bustling, so everyone's definitely glad to be back at the stores.
At Target, the most in-demand toys for girls and boys this year are Hot Wheels, Pokemon, Fisher-Price and Thai plush toys.
Traditional toys are still among the most sought after, with Lego and Barbie high up on many Christmas lists.
Just be prepared, know what you want, and if you see it, I reckon just jump on it and get it then. Don't wait too late.
Melina Saris, 7 News.
A Brisbane golfer is feeling a little sore tonight after starting his attempt at setting a new world record to play more than 2,000 holes in a week. Mick McLaughlin began swinging his club non-stop at 4 this morning. He doesn't have time to pick his ball out of the hole, and interviews are done on the run. Jackie Felgate is back with Sport. And Jack, one contender has made giant strides for an Ashes call-up.
That's right, Mike. Yes, he shot to the top of the pecking order if Tim Payne isn't picked. The details are next. Also, why the new Aussie strip could be a secret weapon this summer. An inside AFL exclusive, the new top dog in the Darcy household as Sam prepares for life in the AFL. A nightmare performance has Man United's manager on the brink. And the supercars get out of control in a wet and wild day on the track. Welcome back. Tim Payne's potential replacement as Australian wicketkeeper admits he's been checking the phone for calls from selectors. Alex Carey has been groomed as Payne's successor and will be on standby if the former Aussie skipper isn't picked for the first test.
While Tim Payne's club comeback was washed out in Hobart, Alex Carey was belting 155 for his Adelaide club side.
Firstly, thoughts with Tim and the family, and yeah, I guess for me it's not looked too far ahead. There's a Sheffield Shield game coming up.
But Australia's keeper in waiting, good enough to bat anywhere in the top order, is ready for a call if selectors decide Payne's not required without his captaincy.
I guess from my point of view, the phone's been on. I haven't heard anything, so business as usual. Hopefully score some runs next week and take it from there.
There's so much faith in Cameron Green, he was chosen to model the new test kit.
Feels really light, feels really clean, and a few breathable holes.
22, starting his second test summer, Australia hopes our answer to Ben Stokes. Comfortable with the hype and the heat coming from Mitch Marsh at the T20 World Cup.
Literally, when you score a single, they go crazy, and that was an awesome feeling last summer, so yeah, can't wait to do it again.
With more than a week left in Gold Coast quarantine for the Aussies, England had another head start today, the first look at the Gabinettes for their fringe test players. Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
Day 2 of Victoria's Sheffield Shield clash with New South Wales has been washed out. Meanwhile, nothing was going to rain on Elise Villani's parade as the Stars faced the Strikers. With one run needed to win, Villani is on 94.
She's lofted it. Has it got enough? Yes, it is! What a way to win the game. Elise Villani, a century to save her.
That's her first WBBL century as the Stars won by 9 wickets. Bulldogs great Luke Darcy says he wants to take a back seat and let his son Sam create his own path in the AFL. It's a mere formality the teenager will be heading to the kennel at this week's draft, and the two sat down with Chief Football reporter Tom Brown.
At home with the Bulldogs legend and future face of the club. In fact, Sam will be the third-generation Darcy to play at the kennel.
That part of it's really emotional. To have my father, who passed away 12 months ago, was just really close to Sam and would be incredibly excited.
It's incredible football pedigree. Sam's other grandfather, David, played in 2 flags for the Bombers and sat on the AFL Commission.
Yeah, absolutely being emotional, like he said, with both grandpas playing, so yeah, definitely be an emotional and yeah, exciting time.
Certainly been surrounded by the game, but he's carved his own path, and it will be his career to make the most of it.
The resemblance is striking, although Sam's already 8 centimetres taller than Luke.
I sort of look like his little brother sitting on the couch at the moment.
There's already similarities on the field.
Yeah, I've heard a few stories. Yeah, ruckman going forward, do a bit of both. Yeah. So he's apparently has a few similar traits.
In an open draft, many rank Sam number 1. They just don't make 205 centimetre 18-year-olds, especially ones that are agile too. Sam even employed his own running coach.
Just helped me with my technique and the speed as a tool, getting in low positions, which has really helped me on the field this year.
Big men famously take time to mature. One list boss tipping Sam could burst onto the scene, much like Paul Salmon.
It's been my dream for as long as I can remember it.
You'd just be in his corner. You do tend to get a bit more nervous for the first time you see danger out in the field that you didn't really see before. So look, it's a really exciting time.
Tom Brown, 7 News.
A new look Melbourne Victory has started their road to redemption on a bright note. Their new Portuguese signing scoring the only goal against Western United.
The header and Miranda, the new man from Portugal.
I've never won a one as a coach, so you know, so it's the first for me. So when we say we needed lift off, well, it's for me as well.
Former City star Bruno Fornaroli settled into life at Perth Glory with this stunner in a 1-1 draw against Adelaide. Manchester United held emergency crisis talks with manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure on a knife's edge. A 4-1 hiding from Watford was their 5th loss in 7 matches.
More calamitous for Manchester United. A day to forget for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
How low are you feeling right now?
Well, I'm very, to put it that way.
Shane van Gisbergen will head to the season-ending Bathurst 1000 as the Supercars champion. The Kiwi clinched the title this afternoon, while teammate Jamie Whincup went off-road when wild weather led to the race being called off after just 5 laps. It's not the way Van Gisbergen wanted to wrap up the title.
Yeah, it's been an awesome time and super cool to win another championship. Over the moon.
It's his 2nd championship trophy. And the stars of Formula One and football, including our own Tim Cahill, came together for a novelty penalty shootout contest in Qatar to mark 1 year until the World Cup.
And we've lost a shoe, but we've gained a goal.
For Pierre Gasly, the shootout ran much smoother than qualifying for the Qatar Grand Prix. The Frenchman was still able to qualify 4th. Lewis Hamilton has pole. Dan Ricciardo will start from 14th. And that wraps up sport. But I must say, the highlight of my evening was Mitch's chat with Franco Cozza.
It was good.
that?
We all grew up with Grand Sale, and he's still got so much life and spirit in him.
He's still got a lot of furniture left to sell. Look at things.
Thanks, Jack. Melina is next with the forecast. And Mel, we have a couple of nice spring days ahead, thankfully, finally.
We do, Mike. I've got a great forecast coming up. The start of the week is looking great, warming up with sunshine before the next burst of wet weather arrives. I'll have all of those details next.
Know the headlines as they break. Know the stories as they happen. With 7news.com.au, know the news now.
This afternoon sunshine was a sign of things to come over the next couple of days before the next wet weather system arrives midweek. The city made it to 17 degrees today, following a low of 11.8. Outside now sitting on 15 degrees. Here's how it looks on the satellite. The high over Bass Strait will weaken overnight as another high develops over the Tasman Sea. This high will move slowly east during Monday as a low over Western Australia moves towards the Bight. So we are all dry and warm for the next couple of days, but if we skip ahead to Wednesday, that low will move across Victoria with a trough, bringing possible heavy rainfalls and thunderstorms as well. Heavy rain has been spreading across parts of Queensland and New South Wales this weekend. Tomorrow, Brisbane has more showers, 26 degrees, a shower or two for Sydney as well, 23 there, but the southeast is staying calm and dry. Adelaide, mostly sunny, 26 there, while Hobart is partly cloudy, 19 degrees. Back to Victoria, there's the chance of morning fog across the south. Then it'll be a mostly sunny day. Light easterly winds will freshen near the coast during the afternoon. Mild across the south, 22 degrees at Ballarat. Warmer in the north, up to 29 at Swan Hill, 28 at Mildura. Closer in, patchy morning fog or low cloud will clear to make way for a mostly sunny day. We'll have light southerly winds and top temperatures in the low 20s right across the suburbs. It's looking very nice in the city as well. Mostly sunny, heading for a top of 21 degrees. We'll have another lovely day on Tuesday, up to 26. There is a slight chance of a shower at night, and that's when the next wet weather system moves in. Wednesday is looking quite wet and humid as well, 24. Showers continue on Thursday and Friday. Then it's drier and a little bit warmer next weekend, 19 on Saturday. 20 degrees on Sunday, but mostly sunny in the city tomorrow, heading for a top of 21, Mike.
Okay.
You'll take that.
Yeah, thanks, Mel. And that's 7 News. We'll have updates throughout the evening. For now, from the 7 News team, have a great night.